All right, next we're going to talk about dividends. Dividends, as you remember, are distributions to our shareholders. So if you remember back in the last unit, people who bought bonds, who loaned us money, that got paid interest. The way we pay our shareholders is to give them a dividend. And dividends are always paid from retained earnings. They are a reduction to retained earnings. Okay, two kinds of dividends we can pay: cash dividends or stock dividends. Cash dividends, we pay cash out to our shareholders. A stock dividend is similar, only instead of paying them cash, we pay them stock. A lot of times you see this with stock splits. So for example, a few years ago, Apple did a 7-for-1 stock split. So for every one share of stock you owned, you got an additional 7 or 6 shares. So you had a total of 7 then. Or they can just pay you out of stock. But that's the two kinds of dividends that you'll want to know about: cash dividends and stock dividends. For the rest of this unit, we are only going to talk about cash dividends. We are not going to speak anymore of stock dividends, and we will not focus on them. Okay, so when we're talking about dividends, there are 3 dates that are going to be important for you to know: the date of declaration, the date of record, and the date of payment. Okay, the first is the date of declaration. This is the date that the board of directors votes to pay a dividend. They declare the dividend. So the board gets together and they're like, hey, today is April 15th and we are going to pay a dividend to our shareholders, and they figure out how much. Maybe it's 25 cents per share, maybe it's a total dividend of 100,000 to be divided amongst the shareholders, but that's the date that they actually pay it. As of this date, the company has a liability. Okay, so remember I told you, companies do not have to pay dividends. They are not legally obligated to pay dividends. There are companies that do not ever pay dividends. But once the dividend's declared, you have a liability. The second date you need to know is the date of record. The date of record is usually a few days, maybe a week or 2 after the date of declaration. And this is the date whereby all of the shareholders, as of this date, as of the date of record, are eligible to receive a dividend. And the reason is, think about a big company like Amazon, and they've got zillions of shareholders. And you need to know who you're going to pay. So the shareholders will say, hey, we are declaring a dividend to all shareholders as of May 1st. And then the person who's in charge of stock services, they're going to go through all the records and they're going to come up with a list of everyone who owns stock on May 1st. And those are the people who are going to get paid the dividend, okay? So if I own stock today, but I sell it tomorrow on April 16th, I don't get a dividend. The dividend was declared today, but it's only being paid to people who own the shares as of May 1st. Same thing if I don't own any shares today, but on April 30th, I buy shares of this company, I will be an owner as of May 1st, the date of record, and I'm gonna get paid. Okay, as of the date of record, there's no journal entry. It's just a administrative date. There's no underlying economic transaction that happens, so there's no journal entry on the date of record. Thirdly, we have the date of payment. That's the day we actually send out the cash. That's the day we pay all of the people who own shares as of May 1st. Okay, so the date of declaration, the board of directors says, we're gonna pay, we create a liability. Date of record tells us who we're gonna pay, no journal entry. And date of payment, we actually send out the cash. We have a journal entry that day where we debit the liability, because we will no longer have a liability, and we're gonna credit cash because we've actually paid out the cash. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is run through some examples of our journal entries.